What we got?
We're going to the soil yard where good things are made. Beautiful things are made. Prideland soil, custom soil blends, custom dirt, dirty work. Blended potting soil is different than dirt because dirt has particulate matter from the earth, you know. It has sand, silt, clay, it has manure, you know. This is like a manure and compost mix. So this is really dry too, but I mean this is like a little bit of dirt mixed with manure and compost because they scrape it up from the manure from the fields, you know, and compost it. So you're gonna get a little bit of that dirt, like pure soil, probably clay and stuff in there. And this gets mixed into like lower grade landscape blends to, you know, because it has to be cost effective. If you're, every single dirt that you buy has to be cost effective depending on the project. So when you're just putting it in a field or in front of a landscape for a housing project, you're not gonna be buying $150 a yard dirt, you know. This is $30 a yard, $40 a yard, you know, so that it meets the purpose of what they're trying to do. Landscaping with grass, fill dirt, things like that. So, you know, that's perlite. So when this is in the soil, it adds air pockets in areas for water to flow through, so the water does not stagnate. You know, that's what it looks like. It's basically puffed up rock. They put through, basically they put it through like a kiln, and it makes the rock pop almost inside out. So it makes it fluffy like a popcorn. So basically this is another big part of our potting mix and a lot of potting soils now is that lava rock, right? This gets mined from regions around here where there are ancient volcanic activity. This lava rock provides really good aggregation for the soil, so the water will percolate down through it, the roots will be able to smoothly get through the soil. And also this helps kind of prevent a little bit of insects from crawling around the soil too much because this will cut them up a little bit, you know? Not the good bugs, but the ones that you're not really wanting to be there. So you mix lava rock, perlite in your soil, and it's going to add aggregation to your soil. This is unrefined bark shavings, and so what they would do is they would take this and put it through a machine that would refine it and classify the sizes, you know, and that would go into some cheaper blends for like nursery stock maybe, or like tree stock or things like that would go maybe to Home Depot, you know, like in terms of the soil media that they put the little $2 plants into, you know, so they classify that. Hear that? You can hear the little fibers, you know, that's how you know that's peat moss. It's not dirt. This is plant matter. It's a moss, right? That grows underneath the subsurface, you know? Oh, this is pure peat moss. I mean, potting mix, you know? This is the base of a potting mix, peat moss. This is peat moss from kind of northern Russia over in the Baltic area. It's virgin peat moss. It hasn't been overmined. It's from virgin plots. It has low heavy metals comparatively to the Canadian varieties. It's easier to work with, and it's a higher premium quality of peat. They call it a white peat versus the peat they pull out of Russia. I mean, out of Canada. So almost all the peat in the United States comes from Canada. So very few companies pull from Russia and the Baltics because they think it's just a nightmare to get it over here. But the peat moss in general is a higher quality over there. It hasn't been overstripped. coconuts right here, coconut coir. Well, they got that pretty fine, that's crazy. Yeah, so this stuff's pretty fine once they break it up. I mean, that's coconut. This is the other base of potting soil. You have peat moss, coco coir. I mean, those are the two main ones for, like, you know, higher end gardening, you know, high value vegetable crops, that kind of stuff. So you go like a blend of coconut coir, which holds water. Water retention is good, you know, and it's a good media for the roots to kind of work their way into. But coconut coir and peat moss are what we use as a company, and we believe in them. We don't use any wood-based bioproducts because, you know, wood, in my opinion, strips out nitrogen, and if we're doing competitive growing, we need all the nitrogen we can get within reason. So, you know, this is some good coconut coir. Probably from Sri Lanka, might be from India. Those are the two biggest countries that produce coconut coir. There's a lot of other countries that do, but the majority of it comes from there. We don't have a whole lot of coconuts in the United States, so we can't source it that much closer. So this is basically what they call like bark peat or lignin peat. You know, it looks like kind of peat moss, but it's got a lot of bark chunks in it, you know, and so it's basically, we were talking about before, it's redwood bark or cedar bark that gets ground up into a fine powder and mixed with some water and some type of caking agent, so that makes it look like a peat moss. You know, it makes it look like a soil substrate, you know, the base of a soil substrate, and it's much less costly than like a pure peat moss or a pure coco coir. So, you know, you know, it's used in those situations where we're doing inexpensive landscaping or potted plants. This is the bark we were talking about. Now this is more processed down. See? It's more uniform in size. You know, this bark would be put into like a bag of bark that you'd mulch obviously the side yard or something with, or this could be put into some soil blends to really give them some body. That one actually might be compost. Nope, that's this. Huh, it's sand. It's river sand. River sand. So like, see how it looks like coffee grounds, you know? This is all what comes out of the anus of a worm. They digest vegetable, plant matter, ground, and they shit this out. Those little coffee grounds is your crap. And it's the most biologically rich and diverse poop that we can pretty much put into any soil substrate within reason. So worm castings is another huge part of what we do.
So what is this, just standard soil?
No, this is the Prideland's Premium. This is the best of the best. Has all of our fertilizers mixed into it. Back in a minute.
Okay.
All of our fertilizers in it. Nature's Pride, Earthshine, Mycorrhiza, worm castings, no compost, no forest byproducts, no wood, you know, none of the things that kind of low input costs, you know, that would make things kind of junk. Process is we're going to kill the bad microbes so they can't repopulate, and then we're going to slowly reduce the phosphate and salt content, and then we'll be good. I mean, that soil will be still, you know, valuable to your guys' company.